Welcome to Inspirational Transformational TV show. Amy Whitney here today with my very special guest, Jeannie Campanelli. One of my main goals when starting Inspirational Transformational TV show was to have guests who spoke from their heart. And today's guest, Jeannie, has taken the cake. She operates at such a heart level that when you listen to her speak, your entire body relaxes. You exhale fully, and you're absolutely enthralled with what she's saying. You can't help but listen and tune in. Jeannie's a life coach. She does couples counseling. She's an incredible therapist, teacher, and woman. It's with great pleasure that I introduce Jeannie Campanelli to you today. Jeannie Campanelli, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Now,
I thank you for inviting me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I like to start my interviews with a bit of background information, and I don't normally go back quite as far as I want to go back today. But I read something on your website, and unfortunately, I don't think it's that uncommon. You mentioned that when you were born, your family was hoping for a boy.
Yes.
Can you take us back to when you realized that that was a situation, or was there an impact because of that in your life?
Yes, I think that it was a story that was shared by my family ever since I remember. So it definitely had an impact on me, absolutely, because there was something about being a girl that I got the message wasn't as okay as if I was a boy. So it was about the wanting, being wanted, and being wanted as a girl. So I think that the special piece about it is that I became aware, I watched the patterns in my life around being a female. And I think that's why I went into the area of inner confidence. I mean, my whole career I've worked with self-esteem, and now as a coach, inner confidence I call it, is because of that piece. I love supporting women. And I've learned so much with regard to confidence for myself. So if anything, what's happened is that whole story of the way I was born, the wound, became inspiration for me. That's how I turned it around. It's like I realized that, I know what it's like, and I can support women and men because I go for the inner feminine. So even when I'm working with men, I'm encouraging the intuition and the surrendering and getting in touch with feelings and all the feminine, the organic way of doing things. I'm encouraging, I'm balancing the inner masculine, inner feminine, whether I'm working with women or men. It's been a huge theme in my life. And actually now I'm at the stage of, in some ways I realized it was a story that was possibly negatively impacting me. And even at this stage, so it's something that I've been even letting go at another level. That whole story about not being wanted as a girl, or that women, aren't treated the same or don't have the same opportunities, and all of that I've been working with at another level. I continue to work with it even today.
You use the word story. Is that what happens to everyone? They are imprinted with a story from their family, their culture, their society. And when you talk about finding your true self or uncovering, your core, is that the process? You're letting go of the external story that's been placed on you?
Yeah, it's really, the story is the conditioning, and everyone has this conditioning. Everyone culturally, our families. I mean, there is just so many points of view that we've been ingrained with. And when we just pay attention to those points of view and actually believe that they're the truth, then it causes a lot of stickiness. And the more we let go of the conditioning, well, this is what I really think, actually. What I really believe is that the more we're able to go deeper and connect to the core, then the conditioning, the story, all the points of view are background. And it's a lifelong process. It's not like we're ever going to be in a place where the personality, the person, is not going to be influenced by all that conditioning. We know that we can get triggered. The personality, it's an ongoing journey because the personality is sticky. But what I'm working with is that the place, supporting people and finding that place that's beyond the personality, the core of us, the natural state of us, so that we're not in the prison moving around the furniture, which is what personal growth can be about, but we're actually outside of the prison and we're able to witness all that conditioning, all those points of views that get in the way, and we go into that deeper core place where we're free, real freedom.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Is it something that you can break down for the audience, like explain processes that you use, or is it something people need to see you and it's individualized, or?
Well, it is individualized,
Okay.
but there are processes that I use in terms of using inquiry, using different ways to get into the body, to be present. And from there, I also do releases, so that there are points of views that can be really sticky and have a lot of emotional charge. So finding that place in the body and working with neutralizing those charges, so that I'm not a big person for positive affirmations or negative. I don't talk positive, negative. Okay. They're all points of view. There can be some points of view, like I stand for the light, for instance, that can actually take someone away, because what they're not doing is also including their shadow, including the darkness. So I'm big on neutralizing charged points of view. And then you're able to be really present in the moment. And instead of react, you're able to respond. That's the difference. So if you are attached to a positive, it's an attachment. It's a kind of a personality preference, which is going to get us into trouble. And if you're attached to the negative, it's also going to be sticky. But when you're neutral, spacious, present, then all there is now. And then there's no need. It's beyond sticky points of view, and you're just responding in the moment. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And I'm thinking just with Steve Jobs dying, and I've been reading a lot about him, and I think that he knew about this, because in this place of presence, creativity flows, everything flows. It's a whole different place. It's the clarity, the inner knowing, clear seeing is another way of putting it, occurs where you just know. And he really talks about that he would go inside, not listening to anyone else, and really know. And so when I'm working with people, I help them get to that place. And so in life, there are always lots of sticky situations where we're not sure. That kind of, well, yes, I want to do this, but, and then we become inactive and we don't know what to do. So I'll do a lot of work to release all those points of view, the ones that are pro or against, release everything so that people then can tap into that clear seeing, that real sense of this is what I know, and then they can move forward.
In your professional opinion, do you think that most people are unaware, and I don't mean that in a judgmental way, but
yes.
Okay.
Oh, no, I mean, yes, I know what you mean.
Okay.
The people unaware, I know that you're not,
Yeah.
you're not judging, but you mean unaware in terms of what?
Of knowing themselves. Like, as in, do you think, like, okay, I'll just say something that I hear out on the street say is that, oh, everyone's walking around in a fog, and that they're, people are just conditioned. And is that the general state of society? And is it getting worse? Because you hear more and more about the mind control that happens through the governments and through advertising. And
Yes.
Is that,
Well,
does that exist?
Well, I lean toward more and more people are waking up, actually. That's where I lean toward. And so I believe that look at the literature. There is so much support to be present. Mm-hmm. And in presence, which is embodied in the body, present, right here, right now, there is a sense of not being in the fog, actually, taking in everything through the senses and being alert and awake and alive. And so it's my belief that more and more people are maybe not living that at a daily level. It takes time to integrate, but are awake to that. Know the feeling of really being in the now. Know what it's like to be beyond the mind that's always filtering everything. That's really what I'm talking about. The mind is like filtering, that's the fog.
Okay.
That's the fog.
Okay.
And then when you are really resting.
Yes.
And it's not just the words, because a lot of people have the words, but it's really the experience of being, so spacious, so of not just being in the mind. The mind becomes a tool, but you're witnessing, that you're so much more than just what the mind tells us. It's like the mystery of life, isn't it? It's like being connected to life.
It's beautiful.
And dancing with life. And then everything changes when you know that you're just not your mind. What your mind tells you that you are.
Did that happen in your life?
Yeah, it's a process. For some people, like a Byron Katie and Eckhart Tolle, they just woke up dramatically.
Yes.
And for me, it's been a process. It's been a deepening. And in a continual deepening. Because I believe that, there's no such thing as enlightenment. There's no such point as this end point when you're totally there. It's an ongoing process of being able to witness the patterns of the personality and being able to be with all the feelings that arise, to say yes to everything in the moment, and to also be able to deepen your ability to rest in the heart. That's a whole process. That, to integrate all aspects of oneself, to be able to really know the person and be able to witness the person. It's a whole process to rest in the heart. That's a lifetime.
And what does it mean to you to be resting in your heart space?
I think it's that place of knowing that it's the being of the human. The humanness is the personality and all the conditioning, and the beingness is the doorway in. The portal in is through the heart, into the emptiness, into the spaciousness, and it's love. It's unconditional love. Yeah.
And that wave, they talk about 2012, that wave of unconditional love, is that what's coming?
I don't know. I'm not one who gets into all of that story, because I see that as a story. Mm-hmm. Does anyone know it's true? For sure? I don't know, Some people agree, some people don't. I like truth, and what I do know, and maybe that's what I'm not like, I'm devoted to truth. And what I do know is the experience of being present and being here. And I don't know about 2012 and all of that. What I do know is if I got into that, it would stir me. It could stir me up, and it would take me away from
your center.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You spoke about affirmations and not necessarily resonating with that idea.
Mm-hmm.
What about the movement of the law of attraction? That sort of thought process. What do you think about that?
Well, I love that, but I think that the difference is if you're saying, I attract all kinds of money to me now, and you're saying it over and over again, the underlying belief likely is that you think you don't. And it's the energy that is everything. So I believe that when you release, when we release both the I don't attract money, there's nothing, and I attract abundance, and so we release both ends of the spectrum. We're just spacious in spaciousness, and then there's no fear. It's not coming from fear. We just are present, and it's very different to put out an intention from a place of peace and love than to put out an intention from fear.
What do you think the
whole
biggest...
different energy?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I love how you're bringing everything back into the center. It's beautiful, and I love that whole the concept of not being way over here and it's got to be this way or way over here. It's just all sitting in the middle,
one step at a time.
Beautiful.
Letting it unfold, and it doesn't mean that we don't plant a seed. Set an intention, but it comes from a deep place of knowing that we really are. We're life. We're looked after, that it's perfect, that whatever's happening is perfect for our evolution. I guess that's really the key.
Yes.
It's our evolution. That's what fascinates me, and that's the work that I do. I work with our own individual evolution.
Can you describe to me what a healthy, functional, thriving couples relationship is, in your opinion?
That's a great question. Well, I do retreats at Mount Carmel for couples, actually. And the work that I do there is to support each individual to get in touch with their own center, with their own spaciousness, their own presence, and then to be able to share that with their partner, so that they support one another more and more in being present. And that means that the personality, it's just natural that in a couplehood, the personality has its stuff that it gets into. There are charges, triggers. I mean, it's just very natural. But at least if they've got this foundation of going deeper into being present with one another, they still get to fight, but my teacher, one of my teachers, Arjun Ardagh, taught me. He's based in California. He's written The Translucent Revolution, but I love this practice. He teaches people, and I work with people with this too. It's the fighting, the energy that comes, between a couple. Fighting is really natural. Energy is going to build, but it's allowing, instead of making it wrong, it's allowing it to be there and to be honest about it. And one of the practices I give to couples is that when you just feel it mounting when you're with a partner who is also committed to being present, you can just stand apart and talk gibberish and have it all out without any words, because it's the words that get us into, it's the personality, it's all the words that get us into trouble. But when you're just with the energy, without the story, you just have your release, and then you can get right into some practices like thank you, I love you, and do practices to get back into the heart, back into the present. It's really exciting. And if you're with a partner who's not into that, you can still, I've seen it so many times that even one person, it's action reaction, when one person is able to, has the tools to deal with their feelings without the story and to be present, the relationship shifts. It just takes one to get past the personality, junk.
That is so cool.
The conditioning. It's really cool.
So you teach at Mount Carmel? Is that?
Yeah, I do retreats there. They've about 4 years ago I went for a silent retreat and just a day of silence because I heard it had really good energy, which it does. And I'm not religious focused, I'm spiritual focused, and they know that. And they like to draw in, people from all walks of life. And so I've done different retreats there, but now I've been doing more couple retreats, which I really enjoy. And so it just gives couples the opportunity to deepen the connection to their core and to connect from that place with one another. It just takes it out of the realm of the personality, out of the realm of the ego. Yeah.
Do you have a client story, like obviously not with names and maybe change a few details, but like a transformation that stands out in your mind that you go, wow?
There are so many transformations. I mean, people come for so many reasons. I'm thinking recently a woman came with, I've worked with her for 2-3 years, and just has shifted so much in her ability to let go of a lot of old conditioning and to just be present and be with her feelings. And one of the things that she wanted more than anything was to get past the trauma of a divorce and to be able to be in relationship again. So that's been really exciting because she's in a new relationship and it's opening up, and she's working with it very consciously with so much awareness that I've been really excited for her. And people who have wanted new careers and are now in careers, having one that really fits their inner gifts. When you're present, the gifts that are naturally yours flow through you, and it just works. And so people who had to get connected to being present, get the feedback about what their natural gifts were, and have found jobs, found careers that are really right for them, where they can thrive and give what they're meant to give, which is very rewarding.
So cool. So what you're saying really is anybody who has, like, I loved how you used the word stickiness, because if you're hitting those sticky points in life,
that's it.
Doing this sort of work, it's not that you're going to a job counselor, but that will alleviate.
Opens up and lets life unfold the way it's meant to unfold for you. Because I believe we all have unique qualities that our planet needs.
Yes.
And it's finding one's own center and the tools of really listening to one's own inner knowing, listening to one's heart, so that you start to live your life in sync with what life wants for you. Instead of fighting it, instead of resisting it, you get in alignment with your life, and you get in connection with life itself. And
so it's for everyone.
It's for everyone, really, because everyone knows about, even the body, I've worked with people who were really disconnected from their bodies, and or maybe had a lot of rules around what it should look like or what it should be like. And so getting connected to one's body and being able to listen to one's body and understand that it's this wonderful tool to be present and to take in all of life, and that even makes a difference in terms of health. So even just working with people on basic tools around feeling and letting go, and what do I really, really want? What's my deepest longing? What's my biggest commitment in life? That shifts a life. This kind of conversation shifts a life.
Amazing. And so you just touched on something that I was thinking. So often you hear about the metaphysical causes of illness. What's your thought on the disease process? And does the sort of work you do, does it actually have an effect on the physical body?
Well, I think that we're so connected. My belief is we're such holistic beings that, well, I know from my own experience, and I've seen it with clients, but I know that when you have let go of something that has really been sticky, I'll use that word again, there's an energetic piece in your body that also lets go.
Do you have any practical tools that we can just throw out to the audience today, something that you think each and every one of us should look at incorporating into our daily lives?
Yes, if standing for inner confidence, which is that place of being present, accepting all that is, that the darkness and the lightness, and living, your true self, living spontaneously and creatively and in a fresh way. To be there is a daily practice. It takes time to integrate. And talking to someone and in my coaching sessions is important because I hold that space for people. But on a daily basis, it's breath. It's taking the time to sit and be. It's spending time in nature and feeling that getting connected, because we all know that connection with the oneness, with life itself. It may be as simple as a yawn that actually just gets the body into the moment. There are so many different practices that work, as many practices as possible that get us into the body.
So that's the secret, so to speak.
I think so. And when I'm working with people, in the beginning, I do a lot of deepening that experience, not dogma. There's no dogma to this, but the experience of falling into the question, who am I? And who am I who is hearing the sound of this voice? Who is feeling the body on the chair? Who am I who is seeing the person in front of me? It's like falling into that which is aware of it all. And from that place of letting go into that which is aware, we naturally start to drop into a deeper, to our core, to our natural state, where there's such richness. So what I'm really working with when I talk about confidence is not the cultivated, manufactured kind of out there, I can do, it's not that kind of confidence. It's that connection to one's core where you have a deep inner knowing and where there's a sense of peace, there's a sense of being supported by life and knowing that we're loved. It's being able to love the person that we are just as we are without trying to fix or change ourselves, because that just gets into resistance and it doesn't go anywhere. So it's really about simply being. Yeah.
When you were describing that, I honestly felt like a baby swaddled. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and then I would ask you, because it's a thought, you had an experience, and then I would ask, who was experiencing that moment? Who or what was experiencing that moment? And when you fall back into that, what's the quality? What was the quality?
Acceptance, love.
Love, yeah. And is there any, when you drop even more deeply into the love, is there any beginning or end?
It's everything.
It's everything. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then when you can meet your mate or your mother or your child from this place, it's all anyone really wants. because you get them from here. You see them. There's no loving to get because there's nothing to get. You're full.
Yes.
That's inner confidence. There's fullness. There's nothing more. So that when you're giving or when you're with people, there's not a manipulation or control. There's simply being there and enjoying and not wanting, there's no demand, there's no grasping, there's no forcing, because there's no need to.
So that's the unconditional love.
That's it. You just are.
And that's how the saints and, the Mother Teresas of the world, that's how they fueled their mission from that place.
I don't know, but I'm imagining that's the masters. The masters who've really, there are people who, even, that's why there's no such thing as enlightenment. As long as we're alive, there's always stuff to grasp, patterns to see that are sticky in the person. But regardless of the personality, like even a Steve Jobs, that the brilliance that moved through him during his lifetime. You hear about all the stickiness in his personality. They say how he was very, he would knock people down if they weren't perfectionists like him or whatever. I mean, different stories. But the piece is that he was present. So what I'm saying is the personality will be the personality, and you can learn skills, but essentially you are what you are as a person. And essentially we're talking about getting into the essence of who you are, which is love. And that moves through each person uniquely. And the more spaciousness there is, the more ability there is for the more room there is for the natural gifts of that person to flow through. Like him, his brilliance, his creativity, they moved through the personality and made a difference in the world. That's what it's all about.
I love it. And so I really get it now, because I feel like I went, like when you say you help people get into who they really are.
Who they really
so
are.
So just the exercise that you just did, whether you meant to do an exercise or not, that's something that you would do in practice to bring someone in.
Yes, and different ways too. Not just that, to bring someone in, because from here, it's not me giving anyone advice. From here, there's clarity and wisdom. You tap into the divine intelligence, you tap into that energy, and
what a difference
on your own. I don't need to be the one. So people come to me. Even I have people who regularly come to me because they're executives and they run big companies. I don't know anything about their companies. I'm not a corporate person, actually. But what I do is I support them in going into their intuition, like a Steve, going into that wisdom. And they have the answers. I just tweak a little this, that, help them get clear, so that they can rest in presence. And then it flows for them at work.
It's amazing.
So it's a different approach. It's not a fixing approach. It's not a changing. It's actually allowing yourself to be who you naturally are in the present moment.
That's I just love that piece so much, and the way you described, because I think, well, for me, I can only speak my opinion. When I thought of the word confidence, I thought of the ego-based confidence that you spoke of, and when you explained it, brought it back to what you really meant. I really get it now. Yeah.
So for someone like me, when I met you, for instance, I was in a situation where, my personality, I have conditioning around introducing myself to a big group of people and so on, and I can be shy, but it doesn't have anything to do with the out there manufacturers. Some people can get up and they love it, but that could be it could be different angles. They could be it's learned, that manufactured, get out there, or it could be that their gift is actually big groups of people.
Yes. And
to be out there in that way is their gift, and we all know the difference.
Yes.
Because we can feel it when someone's, For me, I love working one-on-one. And I do, because I can really hone in to the person and really be with that person. And in groups, I love working with groups of couples because they're focused on one another. I set it up that they're completely present with one another, and I'm holding the space. Oh. Yeah, I am not a person to, stand up in front of huge groups of people, and it's accepting that. That's the personality that I have. But what flows through me one-on-one, and, when I can hold the space for couples, it's a different, it's a different, so it, it looks differently for everyone. There's no one way.
If people can't get to your workshops, do you have any products, any books, anything that that might help those out there not in the Niagara area?
Well, first of all, I'm really glad you brought that up because number one, I work internationally actually because I do phone. My work is phone.
Ooh.
Phone or Skype. So
awesome.
I have some Norway, England, Vietnam. Someone was a person who was working there, in Vietnam. So I can work anywhere. And actually, I love phone work. That's what I do. In the Niagara area, when I first meet someone, I meet them at Mount Carmel, if they so choose.
Okay.
But a lot of people I've never met, and I work with them on the phone. It depends on what people want. But I do have an inner confidence workbook, which for people who are who like to journal, it's great. If they're, really like that process of just going through questions and answering them, you can get that on my website. And it's also a great tool, I think, for therapists and people who are facilitators because it gives lots of processes that they can use with clients. So, and all my clients who are one-on-one get a copy anyway. But I use it as a foundation, depending on the needs of why that person's coming.
Nice.
So, but yeah, I work internationally, which I really love.
Awesome.
I love the phone. I work Skype.
God loves Skype.
Yeah. So Australia, a client I have has a family member in Australia that she's giving a gift to. I can work anywhere.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What's been your biggest inspiration?
I think it's this work that I've really landed in on, which is the living in presence.
Mm.
Yeah, I do. And that I just feel so devoted to that. And so it's been a long process, but I feel like I'm really aware of it now. I could see where it all led to when I look back in my life, and I love this work, and I've got some really good support in this work too because I continue to deepen, and so this is my path.
Yes.
Yeah, this is my inspiration.
And your final words of wisdom today.
Take in time, put the energy into finding out who you really, really are. At your core, at your essence, get connected to you. And when you do that, when you give yourself that gift, your whole life will shift for you. And I'm not speaking about the circumstances because we can't always control those circumstances. Oftentimes we can't. But the inner life, your inner life will shift, and you will be able to be with, and that's what I hear from clients, you will be able to be with all that happens out there in a way that is so beautifully and innocently accepting. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jeannie, thank you so much for your time. It was such a magical hour that I spent at your place. It's a true joy to be in your space, to be in your energy, to listen to your teachings. And I'm extremely grateful that you took the time to speak to me. Much love and many blessings.